We're going to take you now live back to Ottawa, where Prime Minister Mark Carney is speaking to the media after swearing in of his cabinet. Let's take you there.
Sarah Ritchie with the Canadian Press. Given what you just said about trying to find 2 extra votes in Parliament, what efforts are you and your team making to sort of more permanently find those 2 extra votes from other caucuses?
Yeah, maybe I didn't say this quite as explicitly, but I will now, which is that we campaigned hard. We campaigned clearly. We had more than 100 events. We answered media questions at all our events and gave a very clear platform. So we have a strong mandate. We're going to focus on the issues that are at the core of that mandate. Of course, we'll work with parliamentarians and we'll work with the provinces to move things forward. But we've been elected to do a job. We intend to do it quickly and forcefully. In other words, we have to address this crisis with the Americans, and we have to address the very real challenges in our economy, and we will do that.
Follow-up. Who will be your key members of your team that help you lead that Canada-U.S. relations file?
I obviously in my role, I take ultimate responsibility for it. But the Minister of Foreign Affairs will play a role. The Minister of Finance, the Minister, Monsieur Leblanc, in his role specifically designated with respect to Canada-U.S. trade, as will the Minister of Defense and the Minister of Public Safety, because there are aspects, and I will say, without going into great detail, that it was a week ago, I guess, when I met with a number of us met with President Trump and his team, and in the broader discussions outside of the Oval Office in the Roosevelt Room, we touched on all those issues: public safety, defense, as well as all aspects of economics and trade. And so it is a real team effort, and I'm remiss in that I hadn't mentioned, and I will now, obviously our ambassador in Washington, who plays a very important role, Ms. Hill.
Next question.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Gillian Piper with Global News. Interim NDP leader Don Davies told Global News that your government was reaching out and calling NDP individuals about trying to poach them to join your party. Are you trying to poach NDP MPs to join the Liberals?
Look, as I said a moment ago, we have a clear mandate. We'll work towards that clear mandate. We're always interested in working with parliamentarians from any of the opposition parties to support that mandate. Obviously, those discussions will intensify as Parliament returns in the course of the next, well, it's less than 2 weeks. So clear mandate, focus on those. Speech from the throne will be quite clear in terms of our priorities. We'll work with Parliament.
Thank you. And as a follow-up, when Gregor Robertson was Vancouver mayor, the price of buying a house increased by 179% in one of the most expensive markets in Canada. Why do you think someone with this track record should oversee the housing file? Is this a signal from you that you don't think housing prices should go down?
You would be very hard-pressed to make that conclusion from everything I've said and what our priorities are. We have a strong view on housing, a very clear policy, a policy developed with a number of members of the team, including with Mr. Robertson, and I'm thrilled that he is in the new role because he brings the type of experience that we need to tackle some aspects of this problem. One of them is how the federal government can help get municipal costs and municipal regulation costs down and regulation out of the way so that more houses can be built. Ultimately, the housing crisis, and it is a crisis, is ultimately solved by supply. We can do things to help with affordability at the start, which is why we have the GST cut, but ultimately it's a question of supply. And as I think you know, Julie, we have very aggressive objectives on supply, the doubling of the building of supply across Canada. We're going to have to change how we build. And a lot of that expertise, it's not exclusively, but a lot of it is actually been developed in British Columbia. Minister Robertson is very familiar with it. We're going to incorporate that, but in a pan-Canadian strategy to really drive this. Thank you.
Next question.
You'll hear a lot more about it over time. Monsieur.
Prochaine question.
Bonjour, Raymond Fillon de TVA. Monsieur Carney, plusieurs s'attendaient à voir Carlos Leitao dans votre équipe ministérielle, l'ancien ministre des Finances du Québec. Pourquoi ne pas l'avoir inséré dans votre équipe?
for Quebec. Why did you not include him? I know Mr. Leighton quite well, and he's very capable and has a lot of experience. I'm very happy that he is a Liberal MP. It's hard putting together a focused cabinet and a small cabinet so that we can govern efficiently and quickly. So choices have to be made. And I made choices. Clearly, Mr. Leighton is not a member of cabinet right now, but he is a member of the Liberal team, and we'll work in close collaboration with him. What about the election in Terrebonne riding, which you won by just one vote, according to the last recount? Could there have been irregularities, it seems? And do you think that the election should be rerun? Well, first of all, it's better to win by one vote than lose by one vote. So that's my first observation. And there was a judicial verification that was just completed. We do have a judicial process. It's not up to me to judge a formal process such as that. So no re-election? That's not up to me, that's up to Elections Canada. Let's be clear. We can't have any situation where the Prime Minister of Canada would decide when we have another election. No. We have an independent institution, and that institution makes those decisions.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Kate McKenna, CBC News. Can you elaborate on why you chose this cabinet in the context of U.S.-Canada relations? What kind of considerations did you take for positions like foreign affairs and public safety?
Well, I think the first thing is that what guided all of the decisions is several factors. One, the best possible people in the roles. We want a cabinet that reflects Canada in all its diversity and grandeur and experience. I don't want a cabinet that just looks like me. That's not a cabinet that supports. That's not a cabinet that you can delegate authorities to. So that's what we're doing. So that's the first. That you bring the cabinet together like that. The second thing is with respect to Canada-U.S. and all aspects, if we will, of the economic and international relations, looking for a combination of experience in the files and bringing new people into the cabinet. I mean, we Canadians elected us with a mandate for change. So there is a great deal of change in this cabinet by necessity. That's what Canadians voted for, and new ideas mixed with the experience that we have. So with respect to the U.S., look, we have to be. I'll concentrate my answer on the security and defense side. We are developing. We have a series of choices, both the U.S. and Canada, to make about how we can better manage our border. We think we've made tremendous progress on it. In fact, we have made tremendous progress. But where do we go over the next decade? And then what degree of interoperability do we have in our military in a world that's more dangerous and divided? And so we have big decisions to make there. And you see in both the Minister of Public Safety and the Minister of Defense deep experience in the government, and I think that's appropriate.
How do you balance the need to bring in new voices while maintaining experienced members of your team?
Well, I sort of drifted into, I anticipated your question, I guess, but I drifted in the answer. You need to balance it. I think that it is a very good question because you should balance it. Part of this is, again, Canadians voted for change, and part of it is bringing in those new perspectives. And we have half of the cabinet are new members to cabinet. 9 of the 10 secretaries of state are new. New broadly to a governing role. So there is a tremendous amount of change. But it also means that half of the cabinet has experience. Perhaps they're in different roles, but they're going to be around the table. And what is crucial, last point, in my view and experience, is how you govern, how you run cabinet meetings, how you run committee meetings, how you delegate authority through the mandates to ministers, so you get the maximum out of that experience and those fresh perspectives. And we intend to have a true cabinet government. Thank you.
We'll have time for one last question. Dernière question. Émilie.
Émilie Bergeron, La Presse canadienne. Bonjour,
Good
M.
morning.
Carney.
La Presse canadienne. Why did you feel the need to give space for so many new faces in your cabinet? Was that to distance yourself from Mr. Trudeau? Well, as I just said, Canadians voted for big change, not small change, big change. That means we needed new perspectives. Alongside experience. And in my opinion, we have a cabinet and a council of ministers with 14 ministers who have a lot of experience and 4 new ones. For me, that's perfect.
We need to balance experience and new perspectives. Canadians voted for big change, not small change. They voted for big change. We're blessed with the trust of many Canadians. We have a big intake of new deputies, lots of different experiences that they're bringing. And so bringing a balance, which is what we have of experience, perhaps in some cases in new roles, but experience as cabinet ministers, and new voices, new perspectives, half and half. For me, it's perfect.
Last follow-up.
Oui, donc est-ce que vous seriez ouvert à permettre au NPD d'avoir
open to allowing the NDP to have official party status in the House of Commons? That's more of a question for Parliament. I simply take note that Canadians made their decision. There are not many members from the NDP, and that's the Canadians' decision, not my decision.
This puts an end to our press conference. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup.
All right, we've been listening to Prime Minister.
And we were just listening to Mark Carney, Prime Minister Mark Carney, speaking to the media after the swearing in of his cabinet in Ottawa.